Hey guys, welcome back to Puff It Louder. So we're gonna continue with Francisca's argument, and we're gonna see, we're just gonna crush her. Here we go. You prepared yourself and acquired the piggy bank before the plane hit that turbulence. And then you waited for the victim in the lounge, where you beat him to death. Then, while you were in the elevator with the victim's body stuffed in the suitcase, the plane hit that patch of turbulence, and out flew the body from within the suitcase. With no way out, you hastily put the suitcase back from where you had taken it from, and pretended to be the discoverer of the body. Not a bad bit of logic for something you thought of on the fly. Just what are you insinuating? That I will show you exactly how flawed your logic is. No matter how strong of a face you put on, not even you can hide your fears from me. I'll expose the flaws in her logic in one fell swoop. Okay. You prepared yourself and acquired the piggy bank. Well, first of all, the piggy bank itself was discovered, or no, it had to be taken out of the display case after the turbulence. And she's saying that it happened before the turbulence. So this has to be it. Objection! The fact that you took this piece of evidence into account in your testimony is to be commended. Your legal prowess is certainly something to be feared. The evidence and logic, essential tools that those who would stand in a courtroom must learn to master. But what if there was a fake piece of evidence thrown into the mix? Fake? This Mr. iFly piggy bank is such a fake. Is not the murder weapon. Is just such a fake. That's such a weird sentence. Whatever. What? The timing of when the bank was taken from the shop is important, and it was taken after the turbulence had occurred. But then, what about the blood on the bank? What do you make of that? I assume it was added after the murder when the killer fabricated this weapon. Looking at it this way, the killer basically did three things after the turbulence. After exiting the elevator, ooh, this is fancy. My dead body's on the side. The killer brought the suitcase back to the shop and left it there. Then the killer proceeded to pick up the bank from off the floor, still Edgeworth's dead body, and took it to fabricate the murder weapon by hitting the victim on the head. Finally, the victim's wallet was planted on my personage, in my pocket to be precise. Everything was done so that I would be framed for the murder of Mr. Ackby Hicks. You there! Yes, ma'am. Other than this piggy bank, was anything else resembling a murder weapon found? We didn't find anything in the lounge or in the shop that could be used as one, ma'am. Most of the items that could have been used were broken during the turbulence, and the remaining items all tested negative for any trace of blood. I see. Well, Miles Edgeworth, it appears your stall tactics are at an end. But it is possible that it's just hidden somewhere, sir. Eek! If the criminal had wanted to hide the weapon in a safer place, I think the weapon would have been hidden in the same place as the bloody cloth. Exactly what I was thinking. Because the cloth was hidden inside that suitcase, it signals to me that the killer had not prepared a more secure place to hide the evidence. Which means that the real murder weapon is either still on the murderer's personage, I don't know, or still at the real crime scene. Objection! Oh god. There is one more possibility. And that would be that the piggy bank is in fact the real murder weapon. But didn't we just... Hold it. Let me finish. The killer took the bank from the display case before the turbulence by opening the lock on the display case door. And it was at that time that the glass pane in the door was broken. I'd say that's perfectly reasonable line of reasoning, wouldn't you? Let's see. So that means that the killer had the key to the display case. Francisca, the person you're talking about, Not so fast. I'm not finished. The person I'm talking about also committed another sin. She tricked the captain and granted you permission to conduct your investigation. Yes, it is the sin of lying. Speaking of which, I recall that you also wish to speak with her. Yes. Very well. Permission granted. But only if I can sit in on your interrogation. Do we understand each other? I have no intention of interrogating her. But you are welcome to accompany me if you so wish. Miss Teneiro is in the flight attendant's room. Let's move. Okay. Well, I have a lot of people going on. Here we go. Oh, yeah, we already said this. That blue door over there leads to the flight attendant's room, sir. Alright, let's go see what Miss Teneiro has to say for herself. He's still angry. You! How do you solve your murder? If you do not, how am I supposed to have my cargo returned to me? If you could please just be patient a little longer, Mr. LeBlanc. How do you solve it? Like a strike of thunder? It's as fast as lightning, and believe me, if I could, I would. Alright, well, in we go. There she is. March 12th, 223. Okay. So you're the one that pokes around inside the captain's plane, or this plane, without the captain's permission. Deviating from flight attendant's manual is very unbecoming, you know. What were you hoping to accomplish by doing that? Miss Teneiro. Ah, Mr. Edgeworth, you're here too? Can you please help us and shed some light as to why you did what you did? All right. Whose bed is this? It's gross. It's pretty easy to tell who sleeps in which bunk just by looking. I am almost certain that this is the well-kept one up top belongs to Miss Teneiro. Ew, the bottom one's just a giant mess. It's fucking disgusting. You sloven, squalid scoundrel of a man. You dared to scrutinize a woman's bed and invade her privacy? Yo! Oh, there's some things in life best kept to yourself, detective. Well, let's see. We can talk to her too. Well, go on. Let's hear our troublesome attendant out. In due time, I do have one thing I'd like to ask you. Yes? Do you plan to continue using that whip for the foreseeable future? Rip. Of course! I've wrangled many a testimony out of people thanks to it. Yeah, and probably hold so many yelps too. Ah! And I'm willing to bet that the majority of them came from you, detective. Well, let's talk. Oh, wow, she looks so sad. Captain's permission. Why did you lie about receiving the captain's permission like that? Because I didn't think I would be able to get his permission. What do you mean? The captain, he only has ears for Cammy. I spoke with the captain a little earlier myself. He definitely seems to be rather taken with Miss Meal. Yes, and on top of that, I had mistakenly accused Mr. Edgeworth of being the killer. I wanted to make amends. In that case, please allow me to thank you for what you did. Thanks to you, I was able to clear myself of all charges. Really? You were able to prove your innocence? Oh, thank goodness. Miss Teneiro, is it? There is one more thing I'd like to ask you. You were in the in-flight shop just before the turbulence, weren't you? Please answer honestly. Yes, I was. And why were you there? Well, Why the sudden hesitation? Francisca seems to have struck a nerve. In-flight shop. All I did was go check up on the shop like I always do. You're saying it was for work, then? Yes, I'm in charge of the shop, so I have to keep an eye on it. I don't have any reason to go there otherwise. After your visit to the shop, you paid a visit to this room, correct? Yes, I came back to freshen up and adjust my makeup. I'm sorry, but there isn't much else to tell. Miss Teneiro claims to have no reason other than duty to go to the shop. But is that all there is to it? Maybe I should ask her about that thing. That thing would be her beautiful suitcase. Rip. If you could please take a look at this for me, Miss Teneiro. Oh, that suitcase. Yes, about this suitcase. You were the one who designed it, correct? And I think I figured something else out about it. This suitcase is the reason you went to the shop, isn't it? There's nothing you won't find out eventually, is there? Won't you please tell me more about the suitcase? Yes, I was interested in seeing how the suitcases I had designed were selling. I know that as a service professional I'm not supposed to care. But I really wanted to know. And I was glad to see that it was the last one there. The last one there? The last suitcase. So you're saying, Miss Teneiro, that the suitcase in question was the last one? Yes, they're just so popular, they're practically flying out of the shelves. That's not exactly the impression I got. The one in the shop is most definitely the last one. Well, we're currently looking at that suitcase. Really? Then I guess we sold all of them. Thank you very much for taking the last one. I didn't say anything about buying it. Then say you'll buy it. I'm sorry, I can't. But why? I think it would go great with your complexion, Mr. Edgeworth. It really suits you. I guarantee it personally as a service professional. That is... How should I put this? It's hideous. That's so mean. Oh my god. What? Maybe that was a bit too direct. Moving on, my issue with the suitcase isn't the design, but it's the number of them remaining. Remaining? There were 2 suitcases in the flight shop when I investigated it. 2? But that's impossible! I'm sure there was only 1. Looks like her story has generated quite the contradiction. When I left the shop, I'm positive that there was only 1 suitcase left. Something is amiss here. What could be the meaning of the inconsistency? Well, By the way, Miss Teneiro, what's one of those suitcases doing here? I thought you said there was only 1 left. That one is, it's mine. I've used it for a very long time now. Why does it have the price tag on it? She's used it for a long time? I think not. Miss Teneiro, I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't lie to me. Excuse me? I don't believe for even 1 second that you've used this for a very long time. What proves that this hasn't been used for nearly as long as Miss Teneiro says? Price tag. Why would you keep a price tag on it? I guess there's some weirdos out there. Tell me, Miss Teneiro, is this also your habit to keep the price tag pristine on your suitcase? What is the meaning of this? Why would you lie about a suitcase? Despite having faith in her design sense, the sales numbers made her cry bitter tears. The truth is becoming increasingly clear to me. Miss Teneiro, I think I understand. I know what you are trying to hide. Now then, this suitcase was originally in the in-flight shop. Seeing as how the price tag is still on the suitcase, one can only assume it was out on the floor for sale in the shop. And the person who bought this suitcase was... you! Dun dun dun. She's only 24? Oh my god. It was you, wasn't it, Miss Teneiro? I hate to say this, but this suitcase that you designed, it hasn't sold very well, has it? You saw how poorly this design you poured into your heart. Poured into your what? No. You saw how poorly this design that you poured your heart into selling, or was selling. What the heck? Okay, hold on. I'm going to restart this. You saw how poorly this design that you poured your heart into was selling, and were deeply hurt. That's why you had wanted to make it look like it was selling by buying it yourself. Isn't that right? Then, the reason you went to the shop and came back here was... I'm sorry. All I really have is my job. I was overjoyed when my design was chosen. I thought that maybe I'd finally accomplished something. But the suitcases didn't sell. It's because of the design, isn't it? All because it's, as you put it, hideous. I can't say they chose a great place in which to sell them either. We weren't selling a single one, and they were just sitting there collecting dust. I felt so bad seeing them there day in and day out. So I decided to buy one for every flight I worked. You buy one every single time you work a flight? I see. So in order to keep your resolution, you went in and bought one today as well. Yes, and here's my receipt for that purchase. This receipt is clearly timestamped 5:40 a.m. The truth is, there's still a bunch of them left unsold. They're planning to scrap the remaining ones at the end of this flight. Miss Teneiro, where are these other suitcases? They should all be down in the cargo hold. Then the suitcase the killer used could very well have come from the cargo hold. Mr. Edgeworth, you don't think the killer used one of my suitcases to... Yes, I do. The killer used one of your beloved suitcases to move the victim's body. Oh, how could they? Those suitcases were meant to be faithful partners to our passengers on their trips. That's all I ever wished for them to be. Miss Teneiro, is there any other way to get to the cargo hold other than the elevator? The only other way is just through that door there. And what about security? That door has no special lock installed because just to enter this room, you'd need a special keycard that only crew members have access to. Which means that the culprit is someone who can enter this room, eliminating the passengers and leaving only crew members as potential suspects. I can't believe it. Hold it! Yes, Francisco? Going on these wild goose chases. You're a disgrace to the Von Karma name. And what do you mean by that? The suitcase came from the cargo hold. That fact alone tells the whole story. Yes, which is why I said the culprit must be a crew member who used their keycard. Miles Edgeworth! You're proposing that the killer rode the elevator from the cargo hold, correct? Yes, that's the only realistic possibility. That other attendant, Miss Meal, I asked her earlier and she had this to say. Francisco got information out of Miss Meal. In order to make the elevator go down to the cargo hold, a different keycard is required. A different one? Yes, and the only person who holds that particular card is you, Miss Rhoda Teneiro, and only you! Ah! What? Is this true, Miss Teneiro? Yes. I keep that keycard in my locker at all times. Could you please show us that card right now? Yes, hold on. Ah! I don't believe it. Well, what's wrong? The keycard, it's gone. Ha ha ha! Very clever. Pretending that your card was stolen when in fact you're just trying to hide it from us. You've really thought this through. Well, wait, it's not like that. You can tell us all about what it's like down at the station. Officer, arrest this woman. Yes, ma'am. Mr. Edgeworth. Rip. Well, she's gone. What's wrong? There's disbelief written all over your face. Francisca, I know that you are the lead investigator on this case. However... Hold it! Don't even think about wasting any more of my time. You know the rules as well as I do. Evidence speaks louder than words. Even if this isn't a courtroom, the basic tenet still applies. I intend to investigate the cargo hold now. What will you do, Miles Edgeworth? I intend to do likewise. Well, and I guess we're gonna stop here. Holy crap. Rip to Miss Teneiro, I guess. I guess, like, I don't know. Was she really the killer? Like, something doesn't seem right to me. So, we're gonna continue this next time. We're gonna explore the cargo hold. Whoa, God. Every single time I do this, this starts. Whoops. But yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Or, I'll see you guys next time.